Money, money, money. Three, two, one. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 159 of the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm temporarily in an airport and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and I want to apologize for the quality of today's episode, but I'm not joking when I say that I am in an airport and I expect some background noise. But hey, the whole point of the Shower Podcast is just doing it, so let's go. Episode 8 of our mini-series will see us jumping into a world of planners, time blocks, Tony Robbins, and color-coded notebooks. Yes, we've arrived at the age of productivity as identity. Before we start, as usual, if you end up liking this episode and overall the Shower Podcast, leaving a like and a subscribe really help a lot. It's just one click, but they really make the difference. Let's rewind to the 1980s and 90s. Self-improvement is no longer just about psychology or spirituality. It's becoming mainstream, marketable, and, let's be honest, a little intense. Where episode 7 was all about becoming your authentic self, today's episode is about performing that self at the highest level possible. The backdrop is key here. The Cold War is ending. Capitalism is in full swing. Technology is accelerating. And suddenly, life becomes a race for success, efficiency, and, ironically, balance. This is when the modern self-help industry explodes. Let's start with Stephen R. Covey, who published The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People in 1989. This book became a phenomenon, and not just because it was catchy. Covey's model was part philosophy, part strategy. He combined timeless principles like integrity, empathy, and proactivity with practical tools. The big idea? You can build character like a system, one habit at a time. He wrote, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. It's old school wisdom wrapped in the 90s corporate logic. And it worked. Everyone from CEOs to students picked it up. The idea wasn't just to be good, it was to be effective. At the same time, we meet Tony Robbins, a towering figure, literally and figuratively, who brought a mix of psychology, performance coaching, and high-energy firewalking seminars to the masses. His message? Change your state, change your life. Robbins took techniques from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and rubbed them in a motivational punch. Was it flashy? Absolutely. But for many people, it worked. His book, Awaken the Giant Within, of 1991, told readers they already had the power, they just needed to unlock it with action. And that's what this era was about. Taking control. Master your thoughts. Master your time. And master your goals. If the 1960s were about the soul, the 1990s were about the spreadsheet. One thing that defined this shift was the rise of personal productivity. Suddenly, planners weren't just for appointments. They were life management systems. People like David Allen created full frameworks like Getting Things Done, GTD. His core insight? The brain is for thinking, not remembering. So write everything down. Break big goals into next actions. Clear your mental RAM. It was a genius system, and honestly, it's still influential. GTD showed that clarity and order aren't just luxuries. They're tools for freedom. But with all of this structure came something else. Pressure. So far, we've seen the rise of productivity systems, peak performance coaches, and a self-help industry that promised to turn you into your best self, as long as you had a whiteboard, a timer, and a color-coded plan. But here's the thing. Something started to crack. Because when self-improvement becomes performance, when every part of your day, your habits, even your thoughts get optimized, what happens to play, to spontaneity? To the parts of you that don't fit neatly into bullet points. This is when we see the rise of a hustle culture. The late 90s and early 2000s give us books like Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Crush It by Gary Vee. Now, some of these books are sure inspiring. They preach initiative, ownership, and resilience. But they also sell a mindset that says, you are what you produce. And that's where self-help starts to get tangled with capitalism. Growth becomes measurable. You're encouraged to quantify your worth. Followers, dollars, tasks completed. If you're tired, just grind harder. If you're overwhelmed, wake up earlier. It's the era of the 5 a.m. club and no excuses. And while this kind of thinking helps some people unlock discipline and drive, it also feeds a deeper problem. The idea that you're only valuable when you're improving. But quietly, another voice was emerging. Enter Brene Brown. In the early 2010s, she broke the internet with her TED Talk on vulnerability. Her research into shame and connection offers something radical, a new vision of self-growth. Not about toughness or success, but about being seen. Imperfectly, honestly, she wrote, "You can numb the hard feelings without numbing the good ones." And that hit people, especially the ones who'd spent years checking every box and still feeling empty. Brown reminded us that self-improvement isn't about fixing your flaws, it's about owning your story. And in doing so, freeing yourself to live with more courage, more compassion, and more joy. You also start to see the mental health movement gaining momentum. Therapy became less stigmatized. Conversations around burnout, anxiety, and overwork hit the mainstream. Articles popped up titled "The Productivity Trap" or "The Cult of Busyness." We began to see that doing more wasn't the same as being more. Even in the business world, people started exploring softer skills. Emotional intelligence, mindfulness, servant leadership. Books like Essentialism by Greg McKeown argued that success isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things and letting go of the rest. And it's worth noting that the rise of digital minimalism, thanks to the thinkers like Cal Newport, who reminded us that constant connectivity and information overload are making us less focused and not more fulfilled. He challenged us to cultivate depth in our work, in our attention, and in ourselves. So, by the time we reach the late 2010s, we're seeing two worlds colliding. One says, be better, faster, sharper, win the day. The other says, be present, be kind, rest in resistance. And here's the kicker, they're both right. The real challenge isn't choosing one over the other. It's learning to balance. To hustle without losing your humanity. To grow without numbing yourself. To improve without treating yourself like a broken machine. So, as we close today's episode, here's a reflection. Are you growing because you love what you're becoming? Or because you're afraid of standing still? Next time, we'll enter the 2020s, an age of anxiety, global uncertainty, and a new hunger for authentic, grounded, and resilient growth. We explore how the pandemic, climate crisis, and social movements forced us to rethink what it means to be better. Till then, thank you very much for listening. And I really hope that you managed to hear something from what I said. And as always, let me know in the comments if what you thought about this episode. And remember that leaving a like and a subscribe really helped. Having said that, until the next one, stay consistent, stay resilient, and see you tomorrow. It wasn't just to be good, it was to be effective at the same time.